What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be covering the pros and cons of being a real estate agent in 2021. We're going to talk about the pros first, so make sure to stick around for the cons later on in the video because some of these things you really need to consider if you're getting into the business. They might be a deal breaker for you. All right, first up, we're going to cover these pretty quickly. I value your time, so we're going to jump into them right away. Number one on our list for the pro is that you get to be the boss of your own schedule. You get to create your own schedule, whether you want to work mornings or nights or days or evenings or weekends or whatever it might be. You get to choose what your own schedule is going to be. Now, this can be a great thing because you can take time off whenever you need it, but it can also work against you a little bit because if you're not disciplined about showing up for work every single day, you might fall behind and you might find yourself in a position where you're not making progress on selling more real estate. So although yes, it is ultimately a huge positive to be able to create your own schedule, you do have to be disciplined about it. The second pro to being a real estate agent is that you have no cap on how much money you can earn. If you can go out there and you can continue to sell real estate, there's basically no limit to how much you can sell and how much money you can make because of that. That's the great thing about being in sales in general is the more you sell, the more money you make. So this might translate into working more hours. Yes, it could, but also if you work smarter or you work in a better market, you're going to be able to sell more real estate and make more money. And nobody's going to tell you, hey, you've already made $100,000 this year. You cannot make any more. Nobody's going to tell you that, right? Maybe you want to be in the position where you can work 6 months out of the year, make 150 grand, and then take the next 6 months off. You can do this as a real estate agent. That's where it's amazing to be able to create your own schedule, create your own hours, and have no cap on how much you can earn. Now, the third pro that I want to talk about here today is that you get to leverage your time. You can leverage your time by outsourcing deals to other people. You can have assistants help you, or you can even put yourself on YouTube, just like I'm doing with this video, and be able to reach people passively once you've already put in the work. One of my favorite things, just as an example, is making YouTube videos just like this, where I put out a video saying, hey, here's what it's like to live in my area. It takes me about 2 to 3 hours to create it. Then I have a virtual assistant who edits the video for me, and then I put it out there into the world. And that video is shown to hundreds or thousands of people every single month. This is one of my favorite things about YouTube is because I get to have that exposure to all of these different people, and it really only took me a couple hours of my time. It's really difficult to do this with other jobs because in most other jobs, you actually get paid directly for the time that you put in at that job, how much time you're actually working. So you are connecting your time to your salary, whereas with real estate, you can really leverage it where you disconnect how much time you put in versus how much you can earn. All right, now that we've covered that, we're going to jump into some of the negatives or the cons of being a real estate agent. As we do that, make sure to check out the description box below. There's a ton of links with information about how you can use YouTube to your power as well, how you can use YouTube to generate business in real estate. If you're already an agent, this is something you're going to want to check out. All right, con number one on our list is you are in a sales job. And now I did just talk about a bunch of positives to being in sales. We're going to talk about some of the negatives, right? You have to get out of your comfort zone. And unfortunately, as you're getting started in business, you might not know when your next check is going to come. You might get paid next week. You might get paid next month. It might be 3 months before you get a check, right? The thing is, you get paid a lot of money when you have a sale. And so you need to stack those sales up as much as possible, but you also need to plan for maybe a gap in sales, right? I've had a really fantastic year this year. I'll close somewhere between 30 and 35 deals this year at a very high price point. So the income has been very good, but I've had a full month where I didn't make any money. So you have to plan for this in advance because especially when you're just getting started, you don't know when that next check is going to come. You're going to have really busy times where you'll make a lot of money, and then you're going to have some downtime where you might not have much going on. The second negative I want to talk about is that unfortunately, when you're in this job, although I talked about this as a pro at number one at the beginning of the video, is that a lot of times you do have to work nights, weekends, or even holidays. Now, as you get further into your career, you can of course decide, hey, I'm not going to work holidays, but in the beginning of your career, you might be in a position where somebody says, hey, I've got this day off. It's my only day off from work. Can we please go look at some houses? Well, if you're just getting started, you might have to take them up on that because you don't yet have the ability to say no because you really need that business. Same thing if you're working with people who can only look at houses at nights or on the weekends. Sometimes you just have to do this because you have to work around the schedule of your clients. This might mean that you're meeting with them at 7, 8 o'clock at night, or even on a Sunday. I know this isn't fun and it's kind of one of the negatives. Although yes, you do get to make your own schedule like we talked about at the beginning, sometimes this can work against you where you end up working times that you don't necessarily want to. It's not just a typical 9 to 5 job. Now, the third negative or the third con that I want to talk about here today is that a lot lot of times in real estate, you have to work on your own. You're working with clients, yes, but you don't really have coworkers. I mean, you might be in an office where there's other people selling real estate and it's kind of fun to get to know them and stuff, but it's not the same capacity as you get when you're working for a corporation or a larger company or whatever, you know, working a typical 9 to 5 where you've got people on your team, or, you know, you're the boss or you've got a boss above you or whatever. It's not that same aspect. A lot of times in real estate, you're working alone. You know, here I am in my office working alone. This is an office that I built in my backyard, and I work alone 90% of the time here in this office. I rarely see coworkers. I rarely see friends, you know, while I'm doing work. And so this is something you kind of have to get used to, is like, look, you're going to spend a lot of time by yourself, and you have to stay motivated and disciplined to continue to put in the work, show up every day, and continue to push your career further. You know, working with clients and going out with clients, showing houses or doing listing appointments, that's still work, right? It's like they're your client. They're not necessarily your coworker. So there's a level of professionalism. There's a level of seriousness that you have when you're with them. Whereas, you know, it's not the same as when you're with coworkers, where you can kind of joke around and, you know, it's relaxed, right? So just something to keep in mind there is that oftentimes you're working alone, and, you know, it's something to take note of there. So with all that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick video on the pros and cons to being a real estate agent in 2021. If you're looking for more information about how to be a successful real estate agent, check out the description box below. There's more information down there. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.